So the first order of business, before we even get to the agenda, is to elect our wow, I'm drawing a blank.
Offices.
Chairman, correct?
I would like to nominate Josh Goss for chairman.
And second that.
Come on.
I'll second that.
I believe in order for it to be binding, somebody else has to call for a vote. Unless there's
Acting
any-
as vice chair for for the time being. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of electing Josh Goss as chairman for 2022, say aye.
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 Any opposed? So carried. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me.
We now need to elect a vice chair. Any nominations?
I'll nominate Lance Lawyer.
Is there a second?
I'd second that motion, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor of Lance being vice chair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There we go. Congratulations. All right, previous minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look over the previous minutes? Which would have been pre-town meeting. Were there any corrections or questions? Seeing none. Is there anybody willing to make a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chair, to accept the minutes. I motion, Mr. Chair, that we accept the minutes. Previous minutes, thank you.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to accept the previous minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries. Reports and warrants. Carrie, I dropped those off on your end. I believe you're going through them. Okay. As you're done with them, just pass them down through, and get those signed up. Finances, we have the layout here from Maria. Congratulations, Maria, on being reelected. Has anybody had a chance to look through and have any questions or comments on those? Yes. Sorry, I muted myself and then-
Yeah, I know. That's gonna get hard to get used to.
I feel like I'm breathing into the mic all the way.
Maybe you are.
Yeah, that's quite possible. I believe this item here should be down in this area.
I would agree to that adjustment.
Okay. I'd like to make the adjustment under section C of the first part there. We take that bullet and move it down under board business. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, that's not, the agenda, that's my notes.
Okay. Okay, all right, perfect. Okay. All right. Not seeing any questions on this. I like the way this is laid out. It's very easy to read.
I agree with you, Josh. It's very meticulously laid out, easy to understand, and it gives us the information we need.
I will make one request though. Under road expenses. In salaries, if we could have my name taken off there. That was a one-time thing because the guys were in a bad spot and needed a hand, so. I do not work for the town crew. They do a great job by themselves. They do not need my help. And if they do, they'll call. We'll get there when we get there.
If it's possible, can we add a column to this that shows comparison to last year so we can see where the numbers were and where they're headed? Or give us,
I honestly, I'm not sure that is possible
okay,
because of the confusion that happened last year.
Yeah, I agree with you, Josh. It might be feasible to do that next year, but this year would be difficult to say the least.
I get what you mean. I understand what you're talking about. Okay, sorry.
I would like one other that's budgeted amount, total paid remainder. You know, for example, we budgeted $250 for advertising. We've spent $0. Our remaining balance would be $250. Just for sake of time,
Yep.
To be able to look and see, give us a rough estimate on different items that we may be interested in. But other than that, I am happy with the way the finances look. Okay, in others under consent agenda, I have town office heating units, which I'm pretty sure is what's right here in the new mail. John, is it safe to say you were here to get the rundown on what's going on with the heating units?
I was here Thursday when Mercy showed up.
Okay, and just to give us kind of a
Overview.
Yeah, an overview, a quick overview of what's going on, and was there any recommendations made, or was it just kind of here are your options?
It was twofold. What John had stated was that our current heating equipment is outdated and it has its challenges and is on its end of life. He says we may be able to stretch it a little longer, but he couldn't guarantee any real time frame out of it. And usually they certify the equipment, but he didn't feel he could certify it at that time. He made several suggestions. We looked into, he gave the option of heat pumps to heat and cool this space. They come with challenges. Heat pumps are very efficient to 5 degrees and anything sub 5 degrees and below, which we have several days that way up here in Bakersfield. They are no longer efficient. And he said that we would probably still need some form of heating in order to heat this space during the colder winter months. And he suggested potentially propane heat. He did say that this room here would require 2 heat pumps. The outer room would require a heat pump 1. We would have to add a roof. The outside units, because it's an outside and inside, it's called split unit. The outside section has to be on a pad, should be on a pad, has to have a roof covering it because it can't have ice or snow falling on it. Our electrical service is not up to what it would require. We have to upgrade the electrical service because it's only 90 amps at the box. And there were several other challenges with that.
So the heat pump really isn't price wise, it's considerably cheaper, but by the time you figure in all of the extras, it's really not.
Well, the problem is the heat pump is cheaper, but then you still have to put regular heat down there of some form. We'd have to replace the heaters anyhow. So the question is, and I'm not saying don't go heat pump, I don't want to put a spin on it, but the question that came to my mind was, what are we gaining by putting heat pumps in? There is some efficiency early on. But the question is, what we're really gaining is we have some heat till the colder months and we have air conditioning in the summer. We're still going to have to put propane or oil heaters down the basement to heat in the colder months. We could simply, if it was a question of air conditioning, we could probably get it off much cheaper if we just buy some window units. We really should still upgrade the electric service outside. It's only 90 amps, but we could put some window units or wall units in and cool the space in the summer if we really needed it, but only when needed. And the key is that he suggested strongly the propane heaters, 3 propane heaters for downstairs furnaces. They're cleaner and right now they're more efficient than an oil burner. And his estimate for the oil for the removal and the install of the propane heaters, 3 of them would be approximately just short of $22,000. When you add on the heat pumps, that takes our bill up to just under $40,000.
John, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why did he recommend 3 different units?
This space here is big, and he said that the way he does it is this would be like one zone with the 2 heaters, and the other one would be its separate zone. But he said when you get into baffling, he says it gets more expensive for equipment and it's a little more tricky to go. So he would suggest just running, several units to heat the 2 spaces.
Hopefully our heating units carry us through this winter. And that's something we'll have to look into during the off season.
And the only thing he stressed was these are only good for 5 days. With the way inflation and prices are going up, he can't guarantee this thing for any length of time.
Yep.
And he said stainless steel is going up and hard to find because it comes from Ukraine.
So Tammy,
Well,
can we
there's all
just,
kinds of rebates for heat pumps.
There are, and I think he put the rebates in here.
I think he's wrong.
Terry?
There's one for the heat pump.
There were rebates for propane as well.
From Efficiencies of Vermont, they have several programs. I have the contact for Efficiencies of Vermont. We can try to contact them and see what kind of real rebates we can get on either or.
that sounds like a good way to handle that. More rebates, the better. Tammy, if you could put heating for the town office on board business as a continuous item to keep checking into until we have that resolved, that would be great. Thank you. Next on there is Maria's laptop. I don't have any info on this.
There's another one of mine, I'm sorry.
No problem. That's
That's one of my items as well. I apologize. I was asked to review Maria's laptop because there is, it's very slow. And I went in looking for malware and other problems because, I do IT. And what I found was there wasn't much on there to remove or any kind of malicious programs. I did find that our accounting software, QuickBooks, the minimum RAM they suggest is 8 megs to run it and recommended is 16 megs. That laptop has 8. So you're at the bare minimal, then you open up your emails, Excel or anything else, and you're grinding that thing to a halt.
Yep.
However, I would like to, and as I suggested to Maria, I just need to make sure that we have all the software, being Office and Office products and the QuickBooks software somewhere, because what I want to start with is blowing off the hard drive and just resetting Windows first. If that doesn't work, blow off the hard drive and reload it. And if that doesn't work, it either comes down to RAM upgrades or a new hard drive.
Is that, will that housing unit take an upgrade like that? Can you
I have
add
to open
more?
it. I have to open it. And I don't want to open it until I confirm if it's under contract, because the minute I crack the screws, it'll null and void it.
How much would it be to simply buy a new unit with 16 meg?
I can research that. It would probably be somewhere around the $800 to $1,200 range, but I can take a look. It's a guesstimate. I need to know exactly what she needs. And just so you know, Lance, it would probably be, if I can get an SSD drive in there, that would be $100. I just bought one for my computer at home the other day. And RAM varies. I don't know what it is right now. It could be $80 for RAM. So you're looking at a couple $100 to upgrade it if needed, only if needed, or replacing could be like 4 times that amount.
Sure.
And
I think, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think we're giving you the go ahead to look into that, see what needs to be done. And as far as IT goes, you have way more knowledge in that than I do. So I would say I trust your judgment. And pretty much anything except for buying a new computer, I would say that's a go ahead. Does anybody see otherwise?
I would agree with that.
I will still put together a price before I order, just so everyone can see it before I do anything. By way of even just replacing the components. But first, I'm gonna do the cheapest route and go from there.
All right, next is visitors, town reappraisal.
That's why we put 2 chairs. up. Push the button, so push, turn on, stay on. When you're done, you push the button,
Yeah.
turn off.
Bring your chair right along, Sue.
That was not cheap, huh? See that generator,
No,
18, almost $1,900.
it's been a while since it's been serviced.
These are a lot longer.
I bet just an oil change right now, you're looking at probably.
Well, that's cheap.
Yeah.
Trees go, yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deanna Robitaille. I am Bakersfield's District Advisor with Property Valuation and Review Division of the Department of Taxes. I've provided cards for everyone just in case you have any questions once the meeting is over. I'm here to help our listers, clerk, and treasurer with anything that is involving the state of Vermont Department of Taxes for tax billing. I was also a clerk treasurer, so I can help with some other stuff too. But I was asked to come tonight by Sue because she wanted to talk to you folks about when to schedule your next townwide appraisal. Do you have anything that you wanted to?
Well, it's been since 2009 that we did a reappraisal. And as you all know, the price of real estate has gone up immensely. And our CLA has gone down precipitously. So we're going to have to do it sooner than later.
What is our percentage at present?
88.77, I believe.
Oh, it's that low.
No, I thought it said
That's-
84, 85 on there.
I think it's 88.77.
So the common, what do they call it, common level appraisal.
Right. If that gets to
Percentage is
85, then you have to do it.
You have to do it by state statute, right?
Correct.
Right. Your COD, which is your coefficient of dispersion. So that is telling you what the fairness is across your grand list. That's still pretty good. You're right around 13.5%. So when you do an equalization study to get the CLA and the COD, those are a 3-year study. So that means that you had some really solid sales 3 years ago that were really close to your listed value. Those are going to be falling away and replaced with what comes in this year. And from talking with Sue, it sounds like those sales are not looking any better compared to your grand list than what last year and 2020 presented for us. So it's very reasonable to expect that your CLA is going to drop even further. Again, that trigger would be 85%, or if your COD fell or went above 20.
So what does obviously the housing market right now is going crazy and houses are selling for, I'm not going to say way more than they're worth, but way more than they've been appraised
Sometimes
for.
twice as much.
As what I would consider a common sense appraisal. What is that going to do to this number? Because that was one of our big concerns is reappraising right now, and everybody who's been here and owned their homes, and all of a sudden their houses are worth 2 times as much, but it's the same house they moved into. And it's not that, it's just this inflation. How is that going to affect this appraisal? Is that taken into consideration or?
So what we've actually found is during the housing crisis of 2008, the towns that reappraised during that time actually had a very long life for their reappraising. So that's what we're looking at now for towns that are reappraising in 2022 and 23. They're going to hit that market for reappraisal when the values are high and be able to ride out any fluctuations that happen. So I don't see any danger in doing that. What you're talking about now is that the grand list itself is dated. You don't have permits for interior inspections. What do your zoning permits cover? Just change of footprint? And
Pretty
change of
much
use
in any outbuildings.
in any outbuildings. So the inventory that you have for your grand list is what we would call stale. You know, it's over 10 years old, and we would love to see every town reappraise every 10 years just to be equitable within your town, but it's not feasible for most towns to do that. Right now, you have a little over 700 taxable parcels, and as far as the cost, I've had quotes anywhere from $100 per parcel to about $130 per parcel. So you're looking, you know, around 80,000 to do a townwide reappraisal. Every year, the town or the state does issue a per parcel payment. So for every taxable parcel you have in your grand list, you receive $7 or $8. I think it's $8.50. $8.50. And the intent of those funds is to help supplement your reappraisal. So the intent is for that to build up year after year. I took a look at your annual report, and it looks like those funds are used to offset the lister's expenses, which helps keep your municipal tax rate down. But then when you're facing a reappraisal, then you have to budget in for that extra expense. So it's something to think about moving forward, whether or not you budget a small amount on your tax rate for your lister expenses, the day-to-day, and put those monies aside for your next reappraisal. Most companies right now are looking out 2 to 3, sometimes 4 years. So even if you were to receive an order next year, you're not going to find someone to come do your reappraisal for a couple of years. So it does give you some flexibility to budget for those.
If I may, when was our last official?
2009.
And
Been a while.
the state does send around $7,000 a year, which is seen on page 20 of your town report. Those are the receipts that came through. So had that $7,000 been stashed away over the past 10 years, then you would have been really close to covering your reappraisal. But hindsight's 2020. We just have to figure out how to go forward from here.
And I would think that putting, like, for the town repairs, for the trucks, for new trucks, et cetera, I think that you might want to start saving money, because we're not going to do this for probably a few years. But if we have that money, it's not going to be a huge amount every year, but
Right, very similar to like the repair line is, as you're saying, if we've got 4 years, vote in 15 to 20,000 each year over the next 4 years, spread it out. Yeah,
I think
That
that
makes-
would be more palatable than trying to come up with it all at once.
absolutely. I agree.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And by statute, you do have to vote at a town meeting to establish a reserve fund, so those monies can build up year after year. So I would highly encourage you to consider putting that on next year's warning. I know town meeting's already passed, so you can't do it for this year. But that'll just give you a savings account to do that.
Does it have to be at a town meeting?
It has to be duly warned, so it could be at a special meeting.
It could be at the preliminaries.
I'm sorry.
It could be at a general election.
In
Right,
November,
Like
you're
in the
saying?
fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have the August primaries, but it would have to be run as a local election.
So would we be able to piggyback that vote on to the general election?
So you can present an article to be voted on at any time, as long as your Board of Civil Authority warns it appropriately.
Yeah.
And I believe for a local election, it's 20 days that they need to have the ballots available.
Yeah.
But you can check with the Secretary of State. It's been a minute since I've run an election.
The only concern I have is for any townsfolk who are living on a fixed budget. All of a sudden, we start reassessing their houses at double what they are now. And frankly, for folks, because of COVID, it caused people to run out of the cities, which is fine. I mean, it's great for folks who sold their houses, but for the folks who didn't, there are a lot of people who live on a fixed budget, and I don't know if they can afford double the taxes.
Yeah, but that's kind of a misunderstanding. We still need X number of dollars. If your house is appraised at a higher, we tax you at a lower rate.
Right.
So what you pay out of pocket is the same. Excuse me, losing my voice.
That's definitely true for the municipal side, because you set your tax rate here. The state education rates are set based on the equalized grand list of the prior year. So after a reappraisal, there's always a year of transition. So in the second year after a reappraisal, you're typically going to find that anybody who receives a state payment because they're on fixed income or, are eligible for that income sensitivity, that their liability is going to be really close to what it was the year prior to the reappraisal, because that's the purpose of those income sensitivity payments. Current use parcels, we do have a lot of those. Those exemptions would increase because that use value is set by legislature. That doesn't change. It just increases the exemption. And if they have farm buildings that are enrolled for current use, then those are completely tax exempt. So shouldn't hit those folks too hard.
And what would be the next step to, like,
Can you repeat that? If you have a farm and what?
Enrolled in the current use program, so the land use program through PBR. If you have farm buildings that are used for farm business use, then those buildings are entirely tax exempt. They do not pay any taxes on farm buildings. So while those values may increase significantly, they're still going to be exempt.
so what is the next step for us? What,
The next step would be to send out a phishing letter we have a list on our website of firms and project managers that would be capable of providing you with reappraisal services, just to get them in the door and see, who's interested in coming to work with you. I would highly recommend that you allow the listers to do a lot of that vetting and to come with you within a recommendation, because they're the ones that ultimately are going to have to work with these folks for about a year and a half. There will also be a time commitment on the part of the listers that will be above and beyond what their general annual maintenance is, because they have to do a lot of the legwork for those reappraisal companies, making appointments, doing the grievance hearings, which are usually pretty intense during a reappraisal year. So that's where I would start.
Now, where would that be on the website? That would be on. That
If you were
list?
to go to Vermont Department of Taxes,
Mhm.
and there is a search engine in the top right-hand
Yep.
side, you would search appraisal contractors,
Okay.
and I can certainly send you that link.
do you have any other information for us, or? I think,
Off the top of my head.
Okay. I think this is a discussion that we need to have as a board with our listers, obviously. And see, now that we have all the information, and see what the next steps are and where we should go from here.
I'm assuming that Sue and your partners in crime are willing to take the lead on this.
Yeah, we can look at that list, and it's going to be what to put in the letter that I'm going to need help with.
More than
Thank
happy to
you.
help. That's
Thank you
what I'm
very
here
much.
for.
Any other questions or comments?
Feel free to reach out to me anytime. You all have my business cards with my phone number and email address, and I'm here at your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next on our list, we have the fire department, Mr. Stanley. Come on up.
Fire department comes
Join
every
the
month
hot
now.
seat. Just touch it. Yep. There you
Look
go.
at that. We're on. So in conference with the fire department, we have come up with a plan for the 4th of July. Probably for your information, the biggest thing is that we would not have any parade or afternoon activities. Things would start at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Is that the 2nd, I believe, of July?
So is that, Paul, is that because they don't want to organize a parade or,
Correct.
so like the
Control
stuff that,
traffic.
yeah, so the stuff that usually takes place on the park would not happen.
Right.
Is that,
We talked with Cheryl here just before the meeting, and one thing that she came up with the library, and I think that would work, would be Ron the Pirate. Could come in at 6 for some activities with the kids, and go for an hour. Entertainment would be key. We've talked with Lance Boardman with the Rusty Bucket. He's gonna see if the group is around for that weekend. Got some other ideas on entertainment. I've talked with Dave Stetson, who's done our sound for several years. He's on board. He's willing to come over for the evening and set up and do the sound for the bands. And then we could do the usual prelude to the fireworks with taps and maybe some announcements of some sort. Lance has always done a good job with that. So,
Stuck with that again.
so another key here would be this road would not be closed until 6 o'clock. Until 10 or when the fireworks are over.
Question, have you discussed this with the Historical
Yes,
Society
yeah,
on special concerns?
that special concerns is done.
They're done.
They've disbanded.
I was unaware of that. Okay.
So,
If another group of individuals wanted to come forward and serve something,
Yep.
is that acceptable?
one hole that we have, Lance, and for the whole board is hamburger and hot dogs.
Mhm.
We're not going to do a barbecue.
No.
Just do some hamburger, hot dogs. The Scouts have always done those.
Scouts have disbanded
It's
as well.
disbanded. So I haven't really talked with the fire department to see if we might be able to do something with them in your home, Lance. Cheryl suggested maybe the church might want to do something with hamburger and hot dogs.
I still have the hot dog machine.
Yeah.
That makes hot dogs pretty
Ace in
simple.
the hole we have is Mark Rush. Might be able to do something, but I think if we can do some, I was looking at our notes, and the last year we did that, the Scouts made almost $900 on hamburger and hot dogs. So the suggestion is that not to fool with French fries. Just do bag chips, small bags of chips that people can pick up. And go off.
Makes it a lot easier and a lot safer.
Right. Historical Society is going to do, Gary just mentioned, pie and ice cream. They'll do dessert. The library would do the popcorn. So now, the portalettes, was hoping that the select board would take care of getting the portalettes and paying for them. We had one handicap and one regular portalette at the last event. And the Historical Society has offered to have the bathroom open. And we've got the one over here with a conservation park here that's available also. So there's that piece. And I've talked with Derek Krieger about the fireworks. this is the big question here. He is saying that we've done this for around $3,000 in the past. If we want the same type of show, it's gonna be at least $4,000. So I don't know how that's gonna work with the budgeting and, yeah, that's what I
Voted
was
in
wondering.
once,
John.
but I think there's 3,500 there. I
Okay.
think, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look it up.
Right,
But the balance I thought was 3,500.
okay, okay. He was saying we might be able to do it for the 3,500, but the 4,000 would be a better show. So, and I think the portalettes probably ran us around $400 or so. Somewhere in that vicinity. Maybe not that much, Josh, but maybe
I think-
300, 200.
Well,
I think we're getting them at, for the school, we have them at our remote facilities. And I think they're only like $100 a week.
Okay, a week?
Well, it's probably a month, but you
Okay,
know, if we're only keeping it for a week, we probably would have a minimum charge.
right. Okay, okay, yeah. And then the sound, I think,
The one that we get for field days, you know, that's the trailer. They're like.
yeah, right, right. They're much fancier. I think that, I was just thinking about that up skiing today. They've got a set there up at the parking lot. Fancy ones there, but yeah. I think if we offered Dave $400, because we usually pay him $5 for town meeting and for the 4th of July, I think if we offered him $400 or so, something like that.
That was also voted, Paul. So I think we had $500 set aside for that
For the sound,
sound system.
right,
I-
right,
I think that was for both units.
That was for both.
right, 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 yep, yep. So that's pretty much the plan at this point. If you folks have any thoughts or,
Paul, I'm sure that we can come up with donations to make up the difference between what we have and what we need.
yeah.
The
okay.
first year we did this, the fireworks were all by donation. Those of us who
Yeah.
contributed labor-wise,
Right,
we also contributed money-wise to
Yeah.
pay for the fireworks.
okay. Okay. Yep, yep. Because we can see what Derek comes up with too. Right. Yep. So the fire department is on board to take care of the crowd control and traffic and for the fireworks and the setup and the fire protection and all of that. So, and I think we've got the community on board. Cheryl has commented that she's heard that people are looking for the parade, but it's just too much to try and. I
It's
know the
kind
fire
of short
department-
notice already.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. And the fire department, they were adamant about not doing the parade, so. But they were on board with,
Is that just looking toward the future, is that out for permanently? Is that the
I don't-
general sentiment that they don't want to
I
deal
don't
with it at all
I
or
don't
just this
think
year?
so, Lance, because the idea floated that if we did do the parade, we would do it at like 5:30
Mhm.
in the evening, so that everything is happening all at once. So,
Now, if people wanted to put up a booth and have a little flea market or whatever, they're
yeah,
certainly,
I don't see
Yeah.
any problem with that. I think we would have some communication so that we don't have chaos of where they're gonna set up and
I
that kind of thing, but
I think everything would have to be in the park and it would just
Yes.
have to be very open that there is no traffic control.
Right.
So,
exactly, Josh.
Yeah.
Right, Right.
We do have a question, Paul, and John's gonna read it. It came in from Zoom here.
Linda McCall asks, states, hope they delete the cannon blast at the beginning of the fireworks. It's not only causes unnecessary vibration of the historical society building, but also terrorizes pets and horses. Thank you, Linda.
I didn't catch the first part of that. The cannon blast. Okay, well, that'll probably cut down on the price a little bit, and I can talk with Derek about that.
I think the
Yeah.
whole thing,
Yeah.
that
So,
animals don't like, but
yeah.
Hey,
once a year.
I'm just going to throw it out there. I enjoy the cannon blast, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
If we do allow one thought, one comment, and I'll shut up. If we do allow vendors, flea market, whatever, I think they should be told that they can only go inside the fence.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. On the green, on the green.
Yes, on the green.
Right, right. Line up right along out here.
Wherever, as long as it's inside the fence.
Exactly.
I almost wonder if that's how it should be advertised, is a craft fair, flea market, where it'd be kind of nice to see the park lined with local vendors that could.
Yes.
Well, if you're not doing it till 6 o'clock at night,
Well, I
vendors are
think-
not
Well,
gonna.
the
No.
vendors can do it
I
It'd
think
be
that
up-
could be an all day thing.
But
though.
they'd
Well,
have
if
the
you're gonna do
option.
the all day thing, then I would definitely want this road closed.
No,
Right.
that's why you
People
say
are gonna
keep
be
them inside the
Right.
fence.
Parking all over. There's no parking over there.
Now, what is the drawback, Paul, to having this road closed? I mean, is there, I
It's-
mean, we don't have anybody that actually do we have people that actually man the road close signs, or is it just,
Yes, they do.
they do?
Yeah. And it's a bear.
During the
Yeah.
air show, all the barricades were manned.
But I think the hardest
Why do you
part,
need to?
Josh, is having it closed at 10 o'clock in the morning and dealing all day long with that, because people are just so adamant that they can't get through and they're jumping up and down and that kind of thing. 6 o'clock, we can deal with it. So that's really what led to that.
Maybe if not closed down completely, Terry, then obstacles that make it
I would
impossible
just leave it
to.
for 6 o'clock. If
Yes.
that's when they wanna
exactly.
do it, just leave it for 6 and leave it
Yes.
at that.
Right.
Do we charge some kind of permit fee for these vendors that aren't a charity organization?
No.
Really?
Not exactly a huge moneymaker for any vendor that's coming to town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more information for us, Paul?
I will keep the communication lines open here. I think, Mac left, but
Like he knew.
you're right. You folks have always done the ribbons roping off out there too.
Oh, yeah.
I think-
Generally Matt and
Right,
Mark and
right,
uh,
right.
Frenchie. And
Yeah.
Also known as forehand.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Danny, sorry.
We aren't doing any CalPlop, so we won't have that to deal with out there.
Sorry, Dan.
And so we could,
So are you guys not doing any fundraising? Fire department?
no,
No 50-50 raffle or anything like that.
no, I don't think we got all we can do, just taking care of the crowd control.
So I have a comment again from Zoom.
Yep.
Ivan says, can they pass the hat at the fireworks to help defray the cost, or a bucket for donations? He said they used to pass a hat / boot for the air show.
I think that's a great idea, Ivan. Thanks for bringing that up. I think if the fire department,
Yeah,
at that point, it could be not necessarily to offset the cost of the fireworks, but to help you guys with with the
Yeah.
time that you guys involve. And
Yeah. We'll have to, it's always been kind of a concern, especially when it gets dark, being out in the crowd, with money and, but if we do it early enough, and I think with the entertainment, Josh, that it'll draw people early enough so that we can circulate before it gets dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
excellent. Thank you,
very
Paul.
good.
Tell
Yep.
the guys at the fire department, thank you for.
So it looks like it's a go. We'll plan on it and keep coordinating here. Yeah.
I will talk to Sharon, and Sharon Evans is still here, I believe, somewhere. No?
So,
That's the second.
Okay.
yes. Anybody got you got your calendar? Is it the second? Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah. Thank you. You're supposed to sign in.
If you could, please, yes. So our next up is Paul Dreyer with the Brigham residents. I don't know if he was coming in via Zoom. So Lance, do you know if Paul was joining via Zoom, or is that your update?
That's the first I've heard of it.
Okay. Well, seeing how it's 10 of, or almost 10 of 8,
I was
we will skip over him.
actually surprised to see it on the agenda.
Okay, so maybe we can bump that to the next meeting. Maybe you can reach out and touch base with him and see what's
will.
going on there.
Yep. Tammy, do you have any input on why Paul Dreyer is on the agenda?
Yep. You got to unmute her.
You told me to put him on the agenda, something about the.
No. There was an invoice to be paid.
Okay, I thought you told me to put that on the agenda. Is the.
Well, the invoice, it need to be on the warrant, yes.
Okay, well, that's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, that's easy enough. All right, any others? Do we have some visitors in the crowd? It is not, but if you would like to, can I get you to hop up to the hot seat and turn the mic on and sign in and, all the fancy stuff that's going on now?
Okay, I've signed in. We have
Green light on?
Yes.
Okay, just
we
making sure.
have a new library trustee to fill in the.
That's under appointments. Good. Name?
Her name is Rebecca Ann Bennett.
And I'm assuming that this is acceptable.
Yes,
From
she
the
came
library?
to a meeting and she really enjoyed being part of the library.
Okay.
So,
In order to make this official, the select board needs a motion, a second, and a vote.
I'd like to make the motion, Mr. Chair, accept Rebecca. Library trustees.
Now, can I get
I'll
you to do that
second
with
it.
your microphone on?
Yeah, who said that?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept Rebecca Ann Bennett to the library trustees. And what's the
Second.
term? What's the term? Is it
The trustee.
just the trustee? Okay.
And Terry, you second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go. Tell her congratulations and thank you.
thank you very much.
All right. Next up, we have roads. So Mac, come on up, join the hot seat. Sign in. just so everybody knows, we do have some appointments at a later point too, so.
Just threw a use culvert in there and was not planning on having it be a permanent access. And then we brought up the fact that use culvert if we have to replace it. And he said if we have to replace it, he would replace it if it need be. So I put that in
Okay.
that little
Okay.
thing right there.
Who's this?
Nathan Reed.
Nathan Reed.
Yep.
Nathan,
And we're talking Witch Cat Road,
yes.
and it's an agricultural access, I'm assuming for sap.
He was planning on just loading off the road, but of course that's not how it, well, he's kind of off the road anyway, but
The culvert he has in there now is big enough.
sufficient for what it's doing.
Okay, all right. And the reason he's applying for this because he didn't apply the first time.
And I'm assuming he might want a building permit for his first access up above that he did have a permit for.
Okay. So this is the one that we sign, you go out, double check, and then he
Well,
does.
It's all done, so I
It's all-
mean,
So it's gonna be pretty, you'll bring this back at the next one and it'll be all completed, basically.
it is completed. So I mean, as long as he's,
The permitting process will be completed at that point then.
sure.
Does anybody have any questions, concerns, or issues with this permit? That is a great question.
What?
Were any fines issued? The one that we had up on Belvedere Mountain Road,
No fines were issued.
no fines were issued to that one either.
I don't believe they were up there. were they?
Okay.
I mean, were they gonna be or?
We did find him.
I thought we waived the fines
We did.
per his application process this time.
We did waive him?
We did.
Yes, we
waive
did.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought that you just waived the permit fee and he was to pay the fines.
He paid the permit fee.
He paid the permit fee initially that was denied. And then when he reapplied, I thought Brenda said that she would waive the permit fee since he'd already paid that, but he would still be liable for the fines.
That is what I said.
So that's a little different.
Good point, Gary. Thank you. So then at this point, I think I will kick this over to zoning. They will go do the inspection. And from that point, same, I think we handle this the same as the other one, where it will waive the permit fee because he paid it the first time, even though this is the first time. This is the first time.
Second,
That's the second.
that's a second driveway.
Second.
Put it in with no permit.
No permit.
So he gets the fee and the fine.
Okay, I will kick this over to
I agree.
zoning. I agree with you, Gary. No,
Unfortunately,
no,
we
I,
have to
no,
do the same
yes,
thing across the board.
absolutely, I agree. That's, we'll address that at another meeting then, once zoning has a chance to go up and look at what's done and assess the situation. It is Witch Cat Road. It's across from, from Doc's place.
No, it's further down.
Oh, it's further down.
It's by Kevin Curley's. Almost, yeah, right at the very dip.
Well, the very bottom.
All the side coming from.
Oh, that is not a great place to pull out of with a, I mean, not that it's a high traffic area, but still, I wouldn't want to be pulling out of there with full load of sap.
Thanks for the clarification.
He's just doing it in his pickup with a, like a 500.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's not a
It's not a,
tandem or
it's
anything.
not like it was last year. Last year he was taking it to, well, actually last year he took that one to Rangers, but the, yeah, his father's boiling up at the sugar house at.
Okay. Any others?
Quick update, I gave it to Lance and Brenda. Johnson is not. They're going to put it out to bid.
They will apparently let us know when it's gonna be, but
Is there, did anybody go with you to look at it?
no, we didn't, he never got that far because the day that we were gonna go up was,
They
Monday.
had the day off.
it was a day off.
Okay.
and That didn't work out, so. And
Okay.
then when Mark called up, he had the meeting the following Monday and figured, well, might as well wait till the select board says what they're gonna say. And the select board made it sound like, well, we never made this deal and we're gonna put it out to bid. So I mean, it still might go for the same amount. Who knows?
Not that you want to say that number, but you had a number in mind that you thought was that was a fair price to offer?
Well, it was the price that they had talked about originally, so.
Okay. And
He was thinking if we weren't interested, the town of Johnson was gonna put it on the state website for 140 bid, I guess, or that's what they. I don't know if it was a minimum open. This is the same one that didn't really have the authority to talk to us and say. Understood.
so, I feel like that could be a short executive session at the end of the meeting with us, the select board and Mac,
It sounded like he
so that we can talk.
probably would not be looking at a new machine until June, late June or July. So I don't think it's a rush, but I mean, yes, we can,
But yeah, but
we can put a quick,
at the end of the meeting, we
Yeah.
could have, okay, so I'm going to table this until the end of the meeting.
Yep.
Where we can go executive to talk numbers.
Yep.
That don't go public.
Yep.
Okay. That is for the reason that this is a sealed bid that we would be making to the town of Johnson on a grader,
if that's,
to be
if that's
completely
definitely what they decide to do.
if that's the route that goes, but to be completely transparent, that is all that will be discussed during that time. Any others?
We ran the grader around a little last week, put some gravel down in some holes and
Got some snow on top of it to really make it soupy.
soupy, and we didn't grade off a whole lot of the gravel either. Surprisingly, I thought it was gonna be really soft and.
Yep.
Well, I want to know where people were Saturday morning.
Where?
I don't know where you were. I was on Boston Post. It was bad.
Worse than the state? I don't think it was worse than the state.
No, but when I got Enosburg excited, I'll laugh.
Oh, that's neither here nor there. That's Enosburg with a double budget we got, so.
Mac, what's the arrangement on my hill with Brandon's? Are they extra salting and sanding? Because
They salted it, they did something to it. That must be either this morning or yesterday.
Yesterday night,
because
yeah.
Rest of that hill and the rest of that road was kind of brown. When I came back up this afternoon, it was turning to very, very soupy from your place down.
yeah, that's about what he covered. So I didn't know if he'd talked to you about that. I saw him dumping.
Yeah, no, he sands it on occasion, which I wish I don't mind him doing it, but it seemed like that load he had a lot of salt in it because it was bearing up quick, and that's not in the sunlight. So
No, that's usually the last to go.
So it broke up quicker than.
it didn't really break up, but it bared up very quick, which surprised me. Usually we sand it and it'll, by Wednesday it would be getting there. He puts up. We did put a couple of trench drains just below your house that should take care of that problem, even if it decides.
When I talked with him earlier in the season, he said that most of their traffic was going to be going the other way now that the bridge is repaired.
really?
So that'll hopefully ease the stress there.
From at least from Cole
Well,
Hollow.
the larger trucks, yeah. I mean, their personal vehicles, they're still gonna
Still
come the
take
most
Cook
direct
probably.
route, yeah.
They cook this way.
Cook and speak it, yep. But just,
That would
I
help if
mean,
you Go that way with Cole Hollow.
that was what he told me, is that it was gonna
I
be,
didn't see him come that way, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
it's quicker to pavement that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot quicker. So, yeah, but again, if they're willing to sand the roads and it.
Which you can put quite some more salt in.
Yeah. Any others on the roads? No? Okay.
Pretty quiet.
Quick question for you. The Witch Cat Bridge, a little bridge past the Witch Cat farm headed towards right where the Y is for, what's that made out of?
Cement top bridge.
Cement? I'll have to look at it because it looks like there's some kind of pothole in the middle of it starting. I don't know if it's just because there's a whole bunch of mud caked up on top of it or whatever.
There is. The gravel tapers down onto it because
Yeah.
it's a like flat bridge and then goes like this. So it's
Yeah.
kind of tapered. So it could be just a big pothole coming in. I would
Okay.
assume because not too long ago, we worked on that one or we had work done on it. So.
Yeah, it was only a couple of years ago it was put in. That's why I'm like, was that? I didn't think that was like a dirt top bridge. That was concrete. I thought all the way to the
It's
top.
concrete,
So
but it's got the dirt on it.
Yeah.
It's actual bridge.
Runs
It's got
over a
two
brook.
abutments and the cement.
Okay.
slab on top.
I call the Brooker Stream. I know.
It's a Ross Brook, I think.
On that, if you're all set on roads. Okay. I think we would want your input on this as I think it'll affect Brigham Academy Lane also, which is a town road. So Lance, if you want to give us the rundown on this, we're looking at just to give you the title, Bakersfield Elementary School parking lot excavation and paving.
Okay, so the Franklin County Northeast Supervisory Union plans to pave the school parking lot. It is going out to bid Monday, April 25th.
Act 46 has done wonders for us.
Anyhow, the question they are proposing to us is while they're there and paving the parking lot, do we want to go into partnership with them and have the area on the school side and the parking lot side of Brigham paved as well?
How much do we own?
Not much.
The only
The
place we-
largest section, I believe, is on the south side.
on the road.
Yep.
Right.
They kind of go straight out in a narrow.
Yeah.
And it would be from there to like the hydrant that.
I think
shape
where
piece.
the widest part after that would be where the old addition was.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's no more than a car length, maybe less than that from the westernmost side where the hatchway is to the cellar. It's not very far out from there. And just beyond the eaves line on the north side.
We'd have to see what the cost is. before
Yeah,
we can
that's-
make a Decision on it.
Oh,
because
it's not even
We
out to
don't
bid.
even have it in our budget.
Do we
I
want? to
agree.
include it in the bid
Lance,
process?
I have a
Always we-
question.
Yeah.
Is this something if the Brigham residence actually goes to production or whatever? Is that something that's going to get messed up by them working on the building with
No,
their?
if we decide that is something I'm gonna have to talk to Mr. Dreyer about. Now, right now, they're asking if option one is an 18-inch base, please provide the cost for an 18-inch base. Compacted 6-inch lifts with ground stabilization fabric installed beneath the gravel. Base would consist of 18-inch crushed gravel, coarse gravel, and obviously the pitch, drainage, incidental work, line striping, and paving. But option two is the parking lot shared. The parking lot is shared with the town of Bakersfield. There is a portion that will be bid separately if they choose to join this project. The question now is, do we want to consider that? We can always refuse, saying we're not willing to spend that much on this project.
The state would prefer, I mean, I haven't talked to anybody, but where they access Academy Lane, they would prefer it to be a 2-lane T. They don't like this. And of course, that's how people come in. No,
Yeah.
that's how people come in. They start by the hydrant, they hit all the holes and away they go. If it was a T, I think it would slow traffic down for starters, because
So what
I
you're
know
saying
that
is leave that section dirt so that it would not prevent, but discourage
it would all be
driving.
nice if it was dirt/grass.
Put back to
Really
grass.
I mean, have a wide enough, they can have a wide enough access there for what they gotta do, but you go all the way to that hydrant. Yeah, it would be nice, but people really rip in there.
But Vernon has been in touch with the appropriate authorities on how to do this. The question to have here is, do we want to consider? At this point, all it is having the contractors look at our half and throw a number at it. We don't have to
You
accept.
can look at it, but I mean, like Terry says, it's not
Is
gonna
it,
be cheap.
is it all or nothing?
No, it's not going to be cheap. No, they don't have to do our half.
Like,
Well, no. What I'm saying is, do we have the option to say, let's do the north
Well, I
and the
think
west
I'm with
side
Tammy,
and
though.
leave the south side
We're
open?
gonna start doing work on that building.
Yep.
Are they gonna tear up this in
Right.
2 years? And then we're gonna be back to needing.
Especially
done
on those.
again.
No, the work they're going to do, Terry, will be off the east side.
The green side.
Especially on
Green
the
side. Huh?
west, especially on the west and the north side.
The
Our
west and the
places-
north side
are the-
should be done.
our
really,
places
because
they-
if we don't, the water will come off the pavement and it'll go on the gravel and go into the basement.
Well, they'll have to,
Well, they wouldn't be
Then
able
we'll
to
have
do
to do it.
that because then they'd be
No.
liable. for it. They're gonna make sure
And
that doesn't.
They're
happen.
aware of that, yeah.
that would be the only thing.
It's supposed to be pitched, but you know how that works.
And just to clarify, this is not blacktop. This is just leveling dirt with compact gravel underneath it, right?
It's paved.
It is paved. It is paved.
Yeah.
Okay, how thick is the blacktop they're gonna lay?
Oh, here,
It depends on,
pass this
I
down.
didn't see it. Oh, is that that one?
that's the one you just looked at.
I mean, having the bid
I
is not
see.
gonna hurt.
No,
Right.
but I don't,
It's
I,
not giving an
that's all
answer
I'm saying.
tonight
Yes.
that yes,
No,
we wanna pave
I'm
it.
not
I
looking
don't-
for an answer tonight. I'm looking to go to Vernon Boomhover and say, yes, include us in option 2.
I,
Do not do the south side. Go
That's-
flush with the building on the west side. I mean, if that's what we decide tonight.
I think that's the best
Or give
option.
us both options.
I'd give us both.
Hey, you think paving all the way around? I do understand where Mac's coming from
Bids.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
decide.
and then decide. Yep,
I don't think it's a bad idea because all it is a bid.
yep.
All right, we offered to do it at this price. I'm sorry, that's too expensive. We choose not to do it.
Right.
Simple as that.
When we did the Academy Lane the last time, I asked Pike, because school said, what about a couple strips in here? And he said, we don't do that kind of stuff. We do straight down the road.
Yeah.
And that's how you get 50,000.
Well, it delineates the parameters. There will be pitch, there will be drainage structures.
There's pitch there now. That's what makes it hard to grade it. Pitch is
Well,
so
they-
far away from the school.
I don't agree with how they are going to pitch it, but apparently they've got an engineer.
I mean, they got to do something with the water that comes off the soccer field.
Option 3, north and west side of Brigham.
Okay.
That would be.
Pitch, okay. Parking lot will be crowned in the middle, so the water goes in an east and west direction. Well, that may work between the two buildings.
Where does the west water
What,
go?
how is that gonna work between the sheds and Brigham?
Well, unless they pitch that whole section to the west.
Well, that's an
But
option
once
too.
they pinch it to the west, where does it go?
Goes into that big hole it goes into right now and sits there and
And it goes
freezes.
across, it gets
Well,
to
they're gonna
Academy
have-
Lane. and
They're
goes
gonna have
across.
to have drainage contingencies.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was one of the things I talked about with Vern, because he asked me about it. I said, you're gonna have to do something with drainage because in the next couple weeks, we're gonna have,
Sure.
Anytime it rains,
Not stand or
comes
pump.
right off the soccer field, right across.
So
It
they're-
ends up
so
on
they're gonna
front of Brigham,
or they're gonna raise that.
and it goes via the edge of the road, so that's
Yeah.
why the potholes are always there.
And I did mention that draining to the east is gonna go on to the fire department's property, and he needed to
Yep.
discuss this with the fire department.
Fire department and that would possibly be the septic for whatever they do at Brigham, right?
Yes,
That's-
yes, yes.
It's kind of a no-no.
I was gonna say, I hope they've thought about the fact that we have
That'll mess up,
rights to our second.
yeah, that'll mess up a leach field.
They,
Well, that's why I would think I'd make them aware that that's what that piece of property's for.
So
Well,
maybe this is an invitation to Vern to come to one of our meetings to
Yeah.
discuss this further.
Yep.
But he offered tonight, but we hadn't made any decisions at all. so-
Well, in that case, Tammy, can you extend an invitation to Vern Boomhover?
Yeah,
Uh,
if you give me his name and contact information, I certainly will.
it's on this sheet. We'll make sure one of them goes in with the warrants,
Okay,
if that works.
that'd be good. Yep, I'm gonna
Uh,
come tomorrow morning.
It has, yeah, it has all this stuff on here. I can contact him too, because he works there with us. So I'll just
And
leave this
invite
on.
him to the next meeting in March.
I think that would be it, yeah, because they want to send it, they want to have this out for bid, mid-April. So
Okay.
I'm sure he's gonna want to get this done sooner than later, so
Okie dokie.
thank you.
Start thinking about drainage.
End of April, then. No, that's fine. I was looking at it when I said it too. That's the worst part. All right. Seeing no other stuff on, that wasn't really roads, but that's kind of taken care of now. I was gonna put this in with the warrants. So Tammy has that. The outside audit did pass. So going over some new mail. These two are one and the same. The planning commission, that was email from Mr. Irwin that Nikki Cribb has expressed an interest in being on the planning commission. They have a vacant spot. Nikki has also sent her, has sent her letter of interest along with a letter of support from Mr. Irwin. So if we can get a motion and a second for that, we can fill one of our planning commission positions.
I make a motion to accept Nikki Cribb's letter for planning
Yes.
commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor of Nikki Cribb for the planning commission vacancy signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Nikki.
Who seconded that again?
Lance.
Sam, thank you.
Next one is Northwest Communications Union District Legislative Body. In the past couple of years, it has been Heather Jewett and Brenda Churchill that have been on this board. They are looking for reappointment. Need a motion in a second so that I can sign this and we can send it out.
Mr. Chairman, I'd recuse myself from that vote.
Brenda has recused herself. Tammy, if you can make a note of that.
I would like to appoint Brenda Churchill and Heather Jewett to the Communications Union as our representatives.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Lance, seconded by John. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Lots of stuff coming up.
That would be. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. The rest of this is there, that's there, there. I have no other mail at this point. That was appointments. Oh, no, that is not appointments. As section 14, no, 4 on our town warrant passed, we need to appoint our town treasurer. In staying with, as we stated, that if the town voted somebody in, that we would respect the town's decision. I am looking for a motion to appoint Maria Derosa
I
as,
make a motion to appoint Maria Derosa for the town of Bakersfield's treasurer.
if that is a 3-year term.
There is no term to it.
We haven't
There's no
set a
term
term.
of employment.
Okay, should we establish a term
There is no turn.
So it's done every year.
It's done every year.
Excellent.
I would second the motion to appoint Maria Derosa.
Okay.
Treasurer position.
Excellent. So we have a motion and a second. Motion made by Terry, seconded by Brenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
When she's appointed, she becomes an employee of the town of Bakersfield.
Correct.
So she doesn't have to be appointed every year.
Okay.
It's just like,
So unless she terminate, unless she decides to get done or is
or we find
terminated.
a reason.
Yep. Excellent. Next on the list is ATV stickers. I think last year we had, how many of those did we sell and or hand out to tax-paying members, Tammy?
Last year, we ordered 500 and we almost got to the 300 sticker.
Okay. Do they come, can you order them by the 100 or do we have, is 500 a
I
minimum
think it was
number?
by the 100. I think it was by the 100, but I'll check.
Okay. I mean, we did sell quite a few of those. I feel like the complaints were down due to the fact that members of the ATV clubs that came here to purchase the stickers were the respectful ones that wanted to follow our rules, wanted to be respectful. That being said, I personally, not a board decision, but I personally think we should do it again this year.
Mr. Chairman, I'd agree. I think most of the folks that I talked with, both selling the stickers in person, and I think Kathy will back us up too, were in favor of it. They said, if it keeps the riffraff down or people don't want to buy it, or we actually get to look and see whether they got a permit, I would suggest that we talk about at some point in the meeting and perhaps with the ATV clubs, what they would like to do to help enforce that, or at least police it in a way that gives a little bit of peer review.
Yeah, the last communications that I had with the ATV club was that if they were not allowed to operate within the town, then they were not willing to help with any enforcement. Now, that being said, we did not tell them that they could not operate within the town. We said that we were going to maintain our stickers and they chose not to operate within town. Queen Lil's group out of Richford, an ATV club out of Richford, may be willing to work with us. I have a connection there that I'm still talking with, and that may be a next step. What was the name of it? Queen Lil's. Okay. So, is your button on? Thank you.
With the money you raise with these stickers, what would happen if you took it and put it towards enforcement instead of? Because it's really hard for us to say, okay, you spent this much. I mean, we do spend extra, maybe on some chloride or whatever, but you know.
Right. I think, and I'll have to go back through and look at the wording on this, but I think in charging for use of the town roads, the money needs to be used to be put back into the town roads in order for it to be justified. I think we would have to vote patrol in on a separate item. And I don't think that's something exactly. So I would accept.
Patrol a little on their own anyway.
Another question we had was, if all the money that we collect from the permits goes to the road, should the permit cost be charged to the road and not the town?
The permit, that money is, the sticker is supposed to go back into the road budget.
No.
Come out of those.
No, just to pay for the
Oh.
stickers.
The cost.
The cost.
Of the stickers.
Yeah.
What was, do you know what the cost was last year, Tammy? Just offhand? Rough,
It wasn't
rough,
a lot. I'll look tomorrow morning. Less than
over
Cost the sticker.
over 100?
It was maybe 100 or 200. I can't remember. It wasn't that
Okay.
much.
Okay.
I'll get that for you.
And we can't take that out of that money
We should
that's
do.
Well,
collected.
that's what they're saying is if we paid it out of the road, then the money for the stickers that is collected would go back to reimbursing for that. I would agree with that. So I guess what I'm looking for now is a motion to continue this year with the sticker system and to order another set of 500.
I'd make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to keep the sticker program and order another 500.
Does that have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Are those stickers dated?
They
Is
are.
that
Yes,
why we
yep,
have
yes.
to buy them every year? Okay.
Yep. So Tammy, we have a motion made by Brenda, seconded by John to do the stickers, continue the program. We were orange last year. If we could switch the colors so it's easier to make sure, you know,
What color
people-
would you like? What color would you like? Somebody's already come in to buy one.
something bright,
Purple.
Green?
yellow, pink,
Green.
green,
Yellow?
whatever
Okay.
floats your boat.
Okay. Yellow,
I'm,
pink,
uh,
or green? Green. Okay.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent.
Yes.
Perfect. Outside audit. So the next thing we have on here is the outside audit. Have we only received the one?
I heard that, Patel, Brannigan and Sargent got nothing from us.
Okay. Where those numbers were strictly to get a number to put on
Right,
the budget.
Right.
So if you have that contact and you would like to, or would be willing to send an email asking them to submit, we would gladly take that.
Did we send letters to folks or how did we do the others?
Tammy, can you speak to that? How were the
We
companies?
sent a letter. I'm pretty sure Tell Brannigan. That was one that
Sorry.
you suggested I send it to, correct?
Yeah.
I'll have to look up my list. But yeah, there's a letter. I can send you guys the letter that I sent. I think I gave it to Josh, a copy. Or I sent it to Josh actually before I
Yeah.
sent it. I sent it to Brenda too before I sent it.
It was an
um,
email.
Just to see if there was any tweaking. You might be able to find that now.
What's our steps that we need to do
Yeah,
now? Do we
I
have to
could drop it
formalize a
off.
proposal or do we have to?
We have to receive,
request?
since that is over, I think the magic number is 5,000.
Yes.
We need to receive 3
Bids.
apples to apples bids. You know, they have to be bidding on the same thing. And then make our choice after that. As I said before, that first round of bids was so that we had a number to put on the ballot. So yeah, if we can maybe do some individual
If you can give me a
research.
copy of that letter, I'll drop it off.
Okay.
Yeah, you could probably print it off.
What's that?
Yes.
I said he could probably print it off because I think his computer would communicate with Maria's printer.
Oh no, I got it. I'm just the only problem I have, Tammy, is it's dated and says that all bids would be
Right.
need to be
Needed to be in by a certain time.
yeah, January 17th, 2022.
I can
As
tweet
we're
that.
so if we can edit that and
Yep.
then we can print it off and we can get you
Okay.
a copy of that for sure. If you could have a couple copies of that, Tammy, here in house on hard copy, so that if you know, Terry or myself or anybody drops in, they could grab one that because I'm pretty sure there's a firm in Enosburg that I'm very surprised did not bid on that.
I know, I sent out, what were there, 7?
Yeah.
7?
So I wonder if it was just a busy time of year, you know, year end.
Well, it could have been, look at the mail.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Do we put this also out on, for instance, you know, Messenger or the St. Albans Messenger? or-
it's pretty, the letter's
publication.
pretty, the letter's pretty extensive as to what we're requesting. So I think that'd be hard to put it
Yeah.
in the paper?
Maybe,
Let me ask you a different way. Do we use any requests for proposal services like governmentbids.com, like govbids.com, or we put it out?
no,
We're not
because
big
we
enough.
typically like to keep our money local.
Okay.
Not that, not that those aren't great ways to get the information you need, but we would prefer to keep our money local and support our local companies if we can.
Tammy, do you remember where I think it was the Vermont League of Cities and Towns that gave us a list of
Yeah, they had like a list of
certified
all the
accountants.
people all the accountants that had been the accounting firms that had been used to create audits for the towns, who the towns had used.
So
And
Tammy,
so,
Tammy,
Go
in your email here, I actually have the list of people that you sent it to. So it was sent to KBS, Young's. Oh, I'm going to screw up the pronunciation of that. Parent, Kawasha and Gagnon, Angelinos, Sullivan and Powers, and Fourth Gill, and Siegel and Valley. Those are the 6 that we sent it out to. Now, whether, it got filed under G or what have you.
Right.
But I think you're right, Terry. I think maybe hand delivering some of these could be even more powerful.
okay.
All right. But that'll get us on the
Time frame.
right track.
as to when we want this done.
But
Yeah,
after tax
when
time.
do you want a response? Do you
No,
want me to
More
change response?
when would we like the audit done?
I think it has to be end of year, correct?
This says for the year ending 2022 is how.
So
it was
it'd have to
worded.
be this time next year. Because year end would be,
Yeah, it'd be like January or
Correct.
February.
and they're gonna want to do it prior to tax season, I would assume.
No,
Is that in the RFP before?
I believe so. So,
Well, we'll have the money to pay for it till after October, right?
right.
correct.
So I think timing is important.
I
Yeah,
think,
Sullivan and Powers is from Montpelier.
I
The
think-
ones that responded.
I think that if we put in the letter that it's for the year 2022, they would probably have a better idea of the time frame than we do, considering they probably do this regularly. So I think that would be the important part to have in there. I think bids in by, well, if the 19,000 that we put in, right, is what was voted in. If that is not sufficient, would we have to vote in November to cover, or how would that work? As we see, everything is going up. That's the head.
Have to come out of the general fund.
It would. Okay, so it wouldn't be anything that we'd have to vote on before during November. We would have to find it. Okay. So I think if we had a deadline of, let's see, June 30th. That gives us time for that. Does anybody see any downsides to that? It's plenty of time after tax season. And gives them plenty of time to respond, and maybe after tax season pencils will be sharper, and we'll get a better deal.
It should be done. It should be done before next year's town meeting or town report.
Right. So we would want it done January, February.
Well, they may do it in like 2 stages too. They may come in and do
6 months.
2/3 of the
Yep.
year or whatever, and then come in and cap off. It depends upon the auditing firm.
Yep.
How they do it.
No, I agree. All right. So that's so you'll get a hard copy of that, Tammy. Terry, that'll be here for you to come in and grab, and
Yep.
if you can deliver that down there to those folks.
Give me
that'd
like
be great.
give me like 2 days.
So it'll be here tomorrow at noon.
Probably not.
All right, does anybody have any others?
Yeah, just one.
Just one.
Just one for me.
Okay,
We had touched upon during our time of developing budget. Mr.
correct.
Brenda, is your mic on?
No, it's not. Thank you. We had discussed during the budget, the time to perhaps talk about the listers and their funds, and Josh just informed me that we usually do that after election and appointments. So we didn't appoint anybody new to the listers, correct?
That is correct.
And we've got 3 folks on that work group that have not had a raise in forever. Can't say that's true, but at least
A while.
a while. I think we wanted to move the head lister to $20 an hour. There are other listers, I think, to 15 an hour. If they're making less than 15.
I was gonna say, I thought they were at 15 and.
Yeah, I thought it was.
They were being bumped up to 17. They make 15, bump them to 17, I think is what you had talked about, or they had requested.
The head lister was 19 or 20. I can't remember.
I think the head lister's 17 right now, and they wanted it bumped to 20.
They do a lot.
And by the sounds of things, they have a lot more work coming down the pipe.
They are.
Who's Sharon and who?
Maureen Horn. Was it Maureen Horn? Mara, I'm sorry.
Mora.
Right now, Sue's doing the most of the bulk of that work right now. So she's a point. As it gets busy, brings the other folks in.
We did look at their hours, and their hours were not significant. I mean, significant, but not to the point where it was gonna.
No, it's not gonna make or break us giving them this notice. So I'd like to make a motion that we give the listers a raise as suggested. $20 for the head
Lead
lister,
lister, yeah.
chair, lead, and up to $17 for the 2 assistant listers.
I would second that motion.
Motion made by Lance, seconded by Brenda. For raises for the listers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for bringing that up. I made the note to bring it down because it wasn't in the right spot and I forgot about it. So.
John tinkered with the.
Yeah, I know.
I messed you
Stop
up. They were my
tinkering,
notes.
John.
Oh, it's
Day
my notes,
one.
not yours.
No, but slap
Hey,
down day one.
others.
No, there's no others down here. Sorry.
Um,
Okay.
So quickly with the room and the chairs, most of these chairs are broken in some form or another, and they're still against the wall. A lot of them are broken right where they touch the floor in several spots. I think it was Miss Lawyer that informed me that, no, wasn't Miss Lawyer. Who was, yeah, it's informed me the church has chairs over there, 65 individual chairs that we could have if we want. And they have pads on the base as well as the back, kind of like the far table has 2 chairs over there with them. They're wooden, and she said we could have them. I know that we are very, these are historic chairs. I'm not saying, throw them out, but maybe we offer them to the town to whoever wants them, and
Day one. And you are
touching chairs.
you are stirring the pot,
Hey,
sir.
I could put them
These
all upstairs.
chairs probably date back. Oh heck, back to Lance's time.
Seven
Oh,
visitors.
ow.
And he's been worried about these chairs since he entered.
I'll move them
And
upstairs.
besides which, you just damned yourself to hell with half of the town.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
You may
that-
want to ask Tammy to strike that entire statement from the
Leave
record.
it in, Tammy. I'll stand by it.
Show up for all our meetings.
Yeah.
I'm gonna strike the comments.
All I'm saying is the chairs against the wall, most of them are broken.
And
And-
Joel's
and-
going in the living room
Now,
now.
are there better chairs on the second floor?
as an aside, there's probably this many chairs upstairs.
That's what I'm saying. Are there better chairs upstairs than we need to flop them out so people don't get hurt on the chairs down here?
So I'll be 100% honest with you, John. The amount of chairs you have out right now
Yeah,
is about 4 times as many as we've ever had at a meeting.
I agree.
And the only time those chairs get unfolded and put out is town meeting.
Correct. That's what
And
I'm more
the
pointing
folks,
towards.
yeah, hold on.
Go
And the
ahead.
folks that show up here to town meeting day,
Uh-huh.
if they come in here and they see a padded chair,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna say, "Where did the benches go?" And I'm gonna say,
That's like,
the
look,
guy down on the end took them out.
put them up on the
And
second
he
floor.
said they weren't as comfortable as the ones down in Pennsylvania.
That's right.
So
We have those.
that might just lead to
You've been
Um,
thrown out of here.
our first ever voting of a removal of a
Ah,
select board
it is-
office.
It is what it is. All I'm saying is those chairs are broken. We should take them upstairs or do whatever we're doing when someone offers
It
them.
just wouldn't be town meeting if you don't catch a cheek on the chair.
We do that for a safety issue.
Safety.
Mr.
That is
Chairman, I would-
safety.
I would throw another monkey wrench into this. If we, if, God forbid, we do have to go back to another COVID scenario, I think we talked about using the school.
We did.
So the spaces that would allow us to be specifically distanced would, of course, be better, and hopefully we'd have better attendance.
And the school actually has chairs and benches and everything on site, so we wouldn't have to worry about anything. I am not making an executive decision, but I'm making a strong suggestion that you do not touch those chairs.
I'm not saying throw them away. I just think you guys are misunderstanding. What's upstairs,
Yeah,
bring
yeah.
down the good chairs, take the bad chairs upstairs.
Okay.
Or use the chairs that were being donated.
I think a little bit of Elmer's.
Oh, there's chunks missing. Like, whole legs gone. No, you can't get rid of them. That's what I was saying.
When I was a kid, when I was
Yeah.
young, and I used to come to the chair, not the chair, town meeting day with my grandfather, I used to sit 3 rows back, not really focused on what was being discussed because I was kind of young, but I used to love sliding them slats back and forth. And I don't know who was sitting in front of me, but they were probably so fed up with me by the end of them meetings. I
Yeah.
just feel like that's,
That's when they slam the seat on those chairs
Yeah.
and they get mad.
yep. That they kind of have there's a special spot for those.
Special.
They're special.
man.
I hear what you're saying, John.
Yeah.
I would say if it becomes an issue and we need to go beyond what we have on the floor,
Yeah,
then we'll look into it and I'll come up here and help you sort them and carry them up and down the stairs.
okay.
But until that point,
Well, I'm thinking more towards town meeting day than this, because I think this is more than enough chairs down here.
I
do.
I agree. We did.
Yeah.
Was there 5 of them? Six? Come up,
1, 2,
read
3,
your list there. What we
4,
got?
5, 6, 7.
Okay, count. Gotta take the shoes off.
So anyhow, Tom, you can leave that in. I'm a big man. I could stand by my chair comment.
The chair comment's gonna be in. I'm just gonna buy the response.
Minutes at the
I
very end.
hear you.
All right, so one more other down here. We have Lance.
All right, I was approached last week, 2 weeks ago, by a gentleman who is currently in the process of removing that troublesome structure up in the gravel pit.
Hmm. I heard
So that
that's
we
been
don't-
a nightmare.
Yeah, he
In
ran
case
it.
you haven't
It's
heard.
costing him more than he thought, and
I heard he's been a nightmare over there.
anyhow, he is offering to take down the barn for what he can get out of it.
My immediate concern, first thing that pops into my head is
Insurance.
insurance, 100%. I'm sure there is some sort of insurance for the other
Well,
business
he'll have to
business
have
that he
it.
has, but I don't think it would cover that.
Nope.
So I would want to see full-on insurance, and I think if that was the
If
case,
you're gonna do that, I'd want to put it out for bids.
I Yeah, because I bet there's a lot of people that would want barn boards.
Have you been over and looked?
No, well, yes, I have, but my concern is that he would remove
I
the,
wonder if he's over there though, like 3 o'clock in the morning, midnight.
I was gonna say, I don't go over there at 3 o'clock.
The person that's living there.
It's not turkey season
Hazel?
yet.
I
I know what the
don't
building
know.
looks like. I've been there, time or two.
I've been in it, I've looked at it, it's on the verge of collapse. It has deteriorated since I took pictures last year.
Did, I know at our last meeting with, Mr. Geddes, he said he had some stuff in there that he wanted to get out and
Tim.
that was in the little
It's
barn.
it's
Okay.
in the little barn. Tim said, don't worry about it.
Okay, so that's not in the barn that we're concerned about tipping
No.
over. Okay.
No.
He had that tractor in there and clogged up.
Okay.
What, the one that's still half buried?
Oh, it's out.
So, I mean,
It was that far in the ground.
my concern, not concern, is there anybody that's not familiar with the building we're talking about, John, are you?
I haven't seen
I
it.
haven't
Oh, okay. The three of us on this end are familiar with the building and it is, to put it nicely, in shambles. I'm afraid if he was to remove the wrong board, the whole building could collapse.
That was my concern as well. I
Um,
promised that I would bring it up at the meeting. That's,
I feel like the safest way to tear down that barn is with an excavator.
I talked to John last year, Gilmet, and he was not willing to try it because of the possibility of floating toward the power line if he did the
that
wrong.
one power pole, yep.
Okay.
I mean, he wasn't willing.
Okay. No, I can understand
What's
that too.
the power pole for?
From all electric.
Just, is it house service or
It's
It's where it crosses.
transmission?
Where it comes down off the backside.
How close is it to the building?
shouldn't hit, but
I'm only asking because, you could, if you want it down, the other option is what they've done at different places is give it to the fire department, let them train in there, control
You'd
burn
still
it.
have to do something with the power line.
yeah, they're saying is the barn boards and the beams might be worth some money.
Oh, so he wants to recoup it. Well, then you don't want to
Hey.
excavate it anyhow.
The individual I'm just talking about specifically wants the beams.
At this point, I don't feel it's a safe enough building to allow somebody in. Does that make sense? Is that,
Especially if somebody with no experience.
yeah,
As I said,
If
I
you're gonna do
promised to
it, I
bring the
would put
subject
it out
up.
for bid, number one, because there's a good chunk of money of boards there. Two, they would have to prove insurance,
Absolutely.
at least $1 million, because as soon as somebody gets over there with them and gets hurt, guess who's gonna pay for it? It's not gonna be him, it's
Nope.
gonna be us.
So do you need an official vote on that? I mean, I think we're all on the same page.
I think I would just go back to him that at this time, we're not sure what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But to
That's fun.
keep looking, because there might be a bid for it sooner or later. More than welcome to
It's-
bid.
Our, if we're gonna do that, we should put it out to bid this summer.
Yeah.
Because
Spring.
our, this spring,
Mhm.
this summer, whatever, our timeframe on this is coming to an end.
Right.
That would be a Mac question. Are you all set here?
I'm also.
Okay, other that was just brought up is the barn at the intersection of East Bakersfield and Waterville Mountain that is infringing upon the right of way of the county.
That was something Darlene was taking care of as zoning.
Excellent. I will kick that to our zoning administrator.
Nice job.
Nailed that one, didn't I?
Pushed it to
I was
Rose-
just getting ready to say that.
She had pushed it to
Second
the,
that motion.
she had pushed it to Rosalie saying it needed to come down because it was a
Right.
hazard, and then property transfer change or whatever there back to. the-
So that might be easier then. It might be as simple as a phone call and
I
just-
will
yeah.
put that on my
Well,
tomorrow
no,
do
because
list.
the first one went to Rosalie, because Rosalie was.
Right. What I'm saying is it may be
New people,
easier.
I don't-
It may be easier now being the
Right,
new
right,
new
right,
people.
right, yeah. I
'Cause I'm
see what
sure
you're
if you
saying.
were to follow the right guidelines and stuff, I'm probably not
I'm
speaking out of turn, but I
surprised-
bet homeowners insurance would probably cover
I'm
that.
surprised that she hasn't been dropped from her homeowner's insurance for that building. because
Who's the she with that?
The new owners.
Oh,
the people that live, the owners of the property, I'm surprised that they haven't,
Insurance probably doesn't know that.
maybe not.
True. So,
But
All
as
right.
soon as she tries to get insurance
Josh.
money,
see what happens when you bring
Yeah,
up
no.
new stuff, get more
But
jobs.
I just wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Good. Any others? Any others?
I'd make a motion to adjourn. Oh, we have the executive
I'll
session.
make a second.
Oh,
Okay, we're going to adjourn, or we're making a motion to adjourn the open session.
Yeah.
To discuss the grader in executive. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Oh, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning
Aye.
regular meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
All right.
thank you all.
So
Thanks,
that,
Tammy.
Brenda made the motion.
Gary seconded.
Gary
Sorry,
seconded.
I said that out loud the last couple.
Do we have
times.
do we have to name that Mac Newitt is staying for that discussion?
And the
Yes.
vote,
Okay.
Now we're making a motion to go into executive session to talk about
Grader,
bidding on a grader.
Mac will continue to.
And Mac Newitt is being invited into the meeting, into the executive session.
Second that.
Motion made by Terry, seconded by Brenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all for joining us tonight.
So all that's left is Tammy. Is Tammy staying on?
nope. don't have
No,
to.
we are closing that completely.
All right, Tammy.
Okay, have a good night.